If you enjoy podcasts like this, you should check out our other shows on Health Podcast Network. For example, Better with Dr. Erica, hosted by Dr. Erica, provides support and guidance in navigating stress-related challenges to transform your relationship to self-care. Each episode arms you with the tools needed to be better, do better, and live better. There was an incredible episode that you should check out called Touch and Connections as Tools for Healing and Better Mental Health. In this episode, her guest breaks down ways to use physical touch as a form of healing for trauma and grief. Check out Better with Dr. Erica on your favorite podcast platform or visit healthpodcastnetwork.com.
Hey there, leading ladies. Welcome to the Women Physicians Lead podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Lisa Herbert, a two-time best-selling author, speaker, family physician, and executive leadership coach with over 20 years experience of providing primary care and serving as a healthcare leader. If you are a woman physician ready to make a change in your career and have a seat at the leadership table, then you are in the right place. I'm excited to provide you with the crucial skills you need to be a successful leader and strategies to deal with workplace challenges. So put on your headphones and listen as we explore the new world of building women physician leaders. Are you feeling burnt out from the relentless demands of your current position? Do you find yourself questioning if this is truly the career path you want to continue? Are you longing for a purpose-driven career that reignites your passion and brings balance to your life? I'm Dr. Lisa, your host and career coach, here to guide you through the process of discovering a fulfilling and purpose-driven career. Imagine waking up every day excited about your work, having more time for yourself and your loved ones, and making a meaningful impact in a way that aligns with your values. It's possible, and it all starts with a simple step. Book a discovery call with me today, and let's explore the possibilities together. Your journey to a balanced, passionate, and purpose-driven career begins now. Click the link in the show notes to schedule your call, or go to www.schedulewithdrlisa.com. I can't wait to help you thrive. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Women Physicians Lead podcast. I am your host, Dr. Lisa, and I'm excited today to bring you another wonderful and amazing guest. So our guest today is Dr. Carlin Barnes, and Dr. Barnes is a double board-certified psychiatrist in adult and child and adolescent psychiatry. She received her training from Texas A&M for medical school, Harvard Medical School for her psychiatric residency, and Emory University for her child and adolescent psychiatric residency. She has a practice that is dedicated to helping women professionals. She is a women's mental health advocate, and her practice is to help women physicians to tailor solutions that empower them to thrive personally and professionally. So welcome to the podcast, Dr. Barnes. It's so exciting to have you here today with us.
Thank you so much, Dr. Herbert. I am so happy and pleased to be here.
Yes, so I'm excited just to get into your story, and I would like for you to share with us a little bit about your career journey and sort of who or what inspired you to go into psychiatry and sort of just, take this journey to where you are today.
All right, so thank you. That's a great question. As I think about my career, I've had several kind of sentinel moments as I kind of transitioned from undergraduate to medical school. And one of the first things is just knowing that as an African-American female, how there's such a stigma of mental health in our families and our communities, and seeing that has such a negative impact on quality of life. And so that's always been a key motivating factor for me to pursue a field and a career in psychiatry. Also, as early on as my undergraduate career, I was a major in psychology. I had a BA in psychology from the University of Virginia, and I've always been intrigued and interested in how the mind works. and how the mind works in regards to affecting our behavior. And so as I kind of continued on in medical school, my psychiatry residency was the most interesting. And I knew that I had the next 30, 40 years to practice medicine. And I wanted to practice in a field that would be professionally and personally rewarding and allow me the opportunity to give back in such a important and relevant way to our community. So that's pretty much how I became interested in psychiatry and followed kind of my heart and my passion and became a psychiatrist.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that journey. I think it is important for us to tap into what we're passionate about, right? And what we feel that we are purposeful about as well. So for you to have experienced that early on was actually a blessing.
Exactly.
Wow. Yeah.
My office manager for my practice often tells me, like, the busiest, the most potentially burnout days, this is your life's work and you're called for this. And so that's so affirming that you made that comment, definitely.
Yeah. That's wonderful. So tell us a little bit about, you obviously have your own practice now, and I know that that even was a transition for you. So tell us a little bit about sort of once you decided you wanted to go into psychiatry, what that sort of career transition looked like for you. How did you start out and then where you ended up today? And how did you sort of move along the transition in your career from the early beginning stages to now?
Right. So early on, actually, let me back up and say I had an excellent training in both my residency and my fellowship. And particularly in my fellowship at Emory, a lot of our attending physicians and mentors encouraged us to consider multiple areas in which we would practice. And so I always knew that I never wanted to do one thing professionally from the beginning of my career until the end of my career because I'm a lifelong learner and I wanted to have my hands in several different areas in which I could be impactful. And so when I initially started practicing, I wanted to get a really great foundation and base. And so I pretty much was community mental health psychiatrist, child and adolescent psychiatrist, and that gave me a great foundation in which to kind of move forward. I worked with wonderful psychiatrists. There was a lot of interdisciplinary team consultation and learning back and forth. But something deep inside me said, it's time to kind of fall back on the expertise and guidance of my mentors at Emory. And I always have had a very creative streak and an entrepreneurial streak. And so I started slowly building a private practice, always maintaining my career path in other fields as well. And so I've had my practice now since 2009. However, it has grown, it's scaled back based upon what I was doing. And so along the way, I also realized that clinical practice, while immensely rewarding, that there was more that I wanted to do in regards to administrative psychiatry and continuing that trajectory of just becoming more involved in areas that felt less familiar, challenging myself, if you will. And so after about 10 years, I started the non-clinical transition. And I was behavioral health medical director for 2 Fortune 100 health plans. And that was a great experience. I really learned a lot as far as the administrative side of both medicine and psychiatry. I learned the business of medicine. I was able to engulf myself in corporate America and to really learn about a different way of delivery of healthcare. Instead of the one-to-one patient interaction, more population health medicine. And what I realized after about 5 to 7 years of that break in my role, I realized for myself that I am just as much a clinician as an administrator, and I really miss the direct clinical care. So at that point, I went back into more clinical work and became an attending psychiatrist for several health hospital-based systems, and also actually became a teacher, a supervisor, and held an assistant clinical professor role, one of which I maintain today. And I say that to say that I realized through that work that I really enjoy teaching and supervision, and it's kind of affirmed for me that this leadership journey is not monolithic, and everybody kind of comes into being a leader by their strengths rising to the top, and to explore avenues that you may not have explored that will solidify what you're doing in the leadership, especially within medicine. So currently, I maintain that assistant clinical professor role, and I'm really passionate about growing my private practice, especially with a focus on women's mental health and helping people who are in the BIPOC community, the LGBTQ plus community, eradicate the stigma and get the help that they so deserve to lead healthier lives.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's wonderful. And I think you made a really important point as you were discussing your career journey, and that is we don't have to stay in one area. We don't have to remain, in one lane, for lack of a better word. We can use all of our strengths and talents and the passions that we have in different areas to do different things within our career. And at the end of the day, it's probably what keeps you going.
Exactly. That's a great point.
Yeah, and keeps you engaged. So you sharing that, I think, is going to help a lot of people and a lot of physicians listening to sort of start to look at maybe what other things they can infuse into their, current career journey that may help them to continue to rekindle that passion, so that hopefully maybe we can start decreasing that rate of burnout that we're seeing a lot as well.
Exactly.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about what the day in the life, looks like for you in your current role in your practice. How's your practice doing? Like, what are some of the things that are going well? What are some of the challenges that you're having?
Right. So that's a great question. So as I've transitioned into kind of my current work model, I spend the majority of my time, which is what I set out to do, in direct patient care. And so 3 days a week, I'm at my practice, which actually is a brick and mortar. I know post-COVID, there are a lot of online only, but since I established my practice long before COVID, I am in the office seeing patients. I offer telehealth services as well. And I see everyone from the ages of 3 plus on up. But being who I am, the majority of my patients are women, professional women of the demographic of probably mid 20s to mid 60s. And I really, really enjoy helping women to live healthier lives as far as their emotional well-being. I also see children and adolescents. I have a thriving young adult population because my practice is right outside of not only the medical center, but several major universities in my area, which is Houston, Texas. And I provide psychiatric evaluations. I provide individual therapy. I provide medication management and consultation to other members of the healthcare team, be it nurse practitioners, licensed therapists, or physical health physicians, OB-GYN, primary care providers, and such. Wednesdays is my day that I get to dig my heels into my non-clinical work. And so currently I have what I've developed as a portfolio practice, in such that there are different services that I provide. And so on Wednesdays, when I'm not seeing patients, I am currently a contractor, an independent medical review officer. And I always say what you've been through prepares you to the next thing. Because although I'm not working for a health plan, I am providing physician reviews for cases that have gone before my peers that are employed by health plans. My non-clinical work includes collaborative care with not only providing supervision and as I'm a delegated physician for nurse practitioners, but I also provide consultation to my primary care colleagues who may be struggling to manage patients within their practices that have emotional psychiatric problems and they need kind of expertise, so that I have that as a role as well. And then lastly, I also provide teaching to learners who are on the path of becoming specialty physicians, so medical students, residents, and fellows. And so Friday is my day that I get to have fun. I call it Friday Day. And so that's my pretty good week. I transitioned to this model, this building this portfolio practice, probably about 4 months ago now, and it's gone extremely well. I have increased my volume without much marketing or advertising at all. Unfortunately, this is a time with all of the different things going on within our society, being post-pandemic, where people are really in need of quality mental health care. And I haven't had to do really much marketing or advertising to grow my practice, and I'm continuing to look forward to more growth as I add things like interventional psychiatry and such. It's a very mixed week, and it's very exciting, and it's also very rewarding, but I never get up and say to myself, this is going to be the same old thing, and I'm going to be so bored today. It's very, very interesting. And as you mentioned, keeps that passion kindling to kind of continue to move forward and to not be burnt out or not be feeling like I'm stuck in a rut. I really enjoy it.
Yeah, that's wonderful. So you talked early on about, having great mentors and people around you initially when you first were starting out that helped you sort of with your professional development, helped you to realize that you could have your hand in, a lot of different things. And then sort of as you move through your career journey to now where you've developed, this portfolio practice, can you share with us how important, because, we've worked together, so how important was coaching for you to develop, you to this point where you have this thriving practice that you're really, really passionate about?
Right. So great question. And it's interesting, right? Because I mentioned earlier that there's no one way to become a leader. And I never thought of myself as a leader in medicine, but as I think about it, I am. And so going back to high school, even I was a class officer, and in college, I not only joined student activities there on campus, but I became an officer. I was a chief resident. And so kind of thinking back all along the way, I possessed those leadership qualities. But I think especially as a woman and as a woman in medicine, when you're kind of busy with taking care of patients, you don't really see that. And then again, I kind of noticed those attributes when I was more in a non-clinical role, that I was called upon to join different committees and such. And so I often kind of felt like this lack of professional coaching and professional development was something that I could use. But interestingly, I was waiting for someone to assign it to me, or waiting someone to offer the opportunity to me. And I attended a SEEK conference and in thinking about kind of transitioning myself into a non-clinical practice. And, I kept hearing this word, professional development coaching. And then I shifted and I said, I don't have to wait for anyone to offer this to me. This is something that I'm going to do for myself and invest in myself in this way. And it's been a wonderful tool to help me in so many ways. And again, I believe like everything that you've been through prepares you for the next thing. I also believe in divine intervention, because our work together couldn't have come at a better time, because the coaching has helped me to problem solve in real time as problems or situations have come up as I've made this transition and continue to come up. So to be able to have that sounding board to not only think critically and analyze how I might approach the problem or an opportunity even, but to identify blind spots that I might not have thought of without the coaching. It also is a wonderful tool to share ideas. Again, as we're busy physicians or busy in our respective industry, we're often very task oriented, very productivity oriented. But the coaching allows me a dedicated set of time to receive and share ideas and to have exposure to network and systems that I might not have thought of. And then lastly, what I've really enjoyed about our coaching is that it's helped to identify and reaffirm my strengths and to help identify areas where I am weak as a leader and giving me tools and skills to be able to enhance and stir up on those weaknesses. And the EQI leadership assessment report that you provided me has been invaluable. So this has been the executive coaching has been a wonderful investment in myself. Couldn't have come at a better time. And it's been a wonderful professional development tool.
Great. Thank you for sharing that. I'm just honored to have been, able to help you along your journey and to be able to get to know you, not only professionally, but personally as well. And I'm excited for the things that you're doing now and the things that you're going to do in the future. I know are just going to be great.
Thank you.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about, you have a busy practice, you're doing kind of all these other things as well, which I can just tell, lights you up. But what do you do for yourself, like for self-care? Because I think it's important, right, that we remember to set time aside for ourselves so that we don't burn out. So what do you do for self-care?
That's a great question. What brings me joy? What comes to mind immediately is music. I love music, all genres. My favorite, I'm from the Northeast originally, so I love old school hip hop. I love R&B. And so it's so funny. I love live music concerts. And a few weeks ago now, I went to see Megan Thee Stallion. She was here and live in concert. And my son, who's a young adult, said, "Mom, you went to see Meg?" And I said, "Sure." And he was like, "Who did you go with?" I said, "By myself." And I felt like an auntie, but I had a great time. I love music. I love art. I love traveling to different places, just immersing myself in different cultures. I'm a foodie. So whenever I travel, I try to enjoy the local cuisine of the area. I'm a big fitness proponent. And so I love Zumba because it incorporates music and movement, which I'm really big on. And then I enjoy quiet things like burning my favorite candle and spending time in my journey and journaling and also meditation. And then lastly, I will say that spending time with my good friends, my girlfriends, really replenishes my soul. And, I realize that friendship and spending time with great friends who pour into your life and you pour out into their lives is really, really important for self-care.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Exclamation point on the last thing that you said.
Definitely, definitely.
Girlfriends are really, really important. Those bonds that we've created, with other women can be very uplifting, especially during the yeah.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah. So that's great. So tell us a little bit about, or give us some tips on how, you see women facing challenges or how we can thrive in the face of adversity. There's a lot going on. We've been through COVID. We've been through all these different, things that have been going on. Some of us live in states where we've had catastrophes. And sometimes it can create feeling, of loneliness, hopelessness and things like that. So what are some tips that you can give us that will help women who might be going through some challenges or through some adversities on how we can, still thrive and survive?
Right. So that's a great question. And I think I have 3 tips that I would like to recommend. The first thing is, I'm ending my last point on spending time with girlfriends, and you even just mentioned it, but just to stay connected. Studies show that loneliness is really a very negative factor in regards to outcomes, mental health as well as physical health. So stay connected, don't isolate, talk to your girlfriend, spend time with your partner, your spouses, if you need to volunteer, but stay part of a positive community, your spiritual community that feeds your soul. The next tip I have is not to struggle in silence. as a psychiatrist, I am keenly aware that by the time a person gets to me, they have likely done a lot of soul searching because let's face it, in our community, people have their perceptions not always that positive of psychiatrists, but most people have a relationship with their family practice physicians or their gynecologists. So talk to your providers. Most providers, my physical health colleagues do rating scales. They'll ask, even if you're there to get your ear checked, they'll ask initial questions like, do you feel safe at home? Have you been struggling with depression? Be honest, because there are no medals for struggling in silence, and that can get you the help that you need. And then third, to build it, I'm here in Houston and we have hurricane season. They're like, have an emergency preparedness kit. Well, we all need to have an emergency preparedness kit to help get us through these, tough times. So whether that, having the tools in your toolbox, having your favorite scriptures, exercising more days than not, getting adequate sleep and nutrition, not indulging or overindulging in habits that are not going to be healthy, like the use of substances or alcohol. So already have some things that you can fall back on. So when times get tough, that you can access and leverage those things in your toolkit to get you through until you can get the help that you need.
Yeah. Those are some great tips. And I love the toolkit suggestion because, being prepared is, I think, more than half the battle, right? Just being ready for when those things, because we know that hard times do come, adversities do come. So if we can be prepared for those things, maybe we can sort of be ahead of the game a little bit.
Right. And then just one last thing I thought of as we were talking, gratitude.
Yeah.
Remembering to practice gratitude because it often can shift your outlook and even your day from something that's negative to positive. So even in the midst of our troubles, our storms, there's still things to be grateful and have gratitude about.
Yeah. Yeah. And what are you grateful for, Dr. Barnes? Tell us one or two things.
I am grateful for my current landscape of my work that I'm doing. And I'm definitely grateful for the wonderful friendships that I've built throughout the years. Those are two things that I'm really grateful for and I don't take for granted. So yeah, great question.
Yeah. Well, thank you for sharing that with us.
Sure.
And I'm a proponent of gratitude, having a gratitude journal. I'm not always perfect about writing in it, but I do try to make sure that I do that as well.
Yeah, that's really important.
So tell us how people can or how we can contact you if I'm listening to this podcast and I want to reach out to you, for services or maybe for a consultation. How might I go about doing that?
Right. So there are several ways. My website is drcarlindbarnes.org. You can reach out by sending me a message on LinkedIn under Dr. Carlin Barnes, MD. My Instagram is at Dr. Carlin Reed. And then my email is my name, Carlin Barnes, MD, medical doctor @gmail.com.
Okay, wonderful. And I'll make sure that I have all those links in the show notes as well so that people can have access to those.
Great. Thank you so much. And if I could just mention one final little thing, I am a co-author. I published a book in 2019 with Dr. Marquita Wills, who is now the CEO and executive director of the American Psychiatric Association. So proud of her. She's not only my colleague, she's my friend, but we published a book in 2019, and the title is Understanding Mental Illness. And it's not a academic book. It's for friends and families, loved ones, people in the community to understand more about mental illness. Our purpose was to help to eradicate the stigma and to increase awareness and knowledge. So it's a great book. It's an easy read. There are a lot of interesting patient, obviously confidential vignettes, and you can learn a lot. And there are a lot of resources in the appendix about how to access mental health services for yourself or your loved one. You can purchase the book on Amazon.com and also BarnesandNoble.com.
Okay, wonderful. I think that's a wonderful resource. Everyone should have that to kind of, familiarizing themselves, educating themselves about mental illness. So I'll make sure to put that link as well for people.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, and thank you so much. This has been a wonderful interview.
I appreciate the opportunity. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. We'll talk soon.
Take care. Bye-bye.
If you are longing for a purpose-driven career that reignites your passion and brings balance to your life, well, I am your career coach, here to guide you through the process of discovering a fulfilling and purpose-driven career. Imagine waking up to a career that you're excited about and that makes a meaningful impact in a way that aligns with your values. Well, it's possible. Book your discovery call with me today, and let's explore the possibilities together. Go to www.schedulewithdrlisa.com. That's www.schedulewithdrlisa.com. I can't wait to help you thrive.
If you enjoyed podcasts like this, you should check out our other shows on Health Podcast Network. For example, Better with Dr. Erica, hosted by Dr. Erica, provides support and guidance in navigating stress-related challenges to transform your relationship to self-care. Each episode arms you with the tools needed to be better, do better, and live better. There was an incredible episode that you should check out called Touch and Connections as Tools for Healing and Better Mental Health. In this episode, her guest breaks down ways to use physical touch as a form of healing for trauma and grief. Check out Better with Dr. Erica on your favorite podcast platform or visit healthpodcastnetwork.com.